All right. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is a Tuesday, not a Monday. Hope everybody had a good long weekend. Good morning, Mr. Steve 1000. Hope you're ready for another incredible week in space. I know you are. Mr. Barr, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, members. Happy to be here. It's been a long weekend. It's been a good one, but it's always nice to be behind these screens here talking to you. We are going to get into it. We're going to start off by just calling out a few different earnings reports. But before we get into that, we do have 10 a.m. U.S. leading economic indicators, an event today. Good morning, Pearl. As far as earnings reports before the market open, we've had WMT, Walmart, HD, Home Depot, and MDT. After close, we do have PANW, so Palo Alto, SEDG, and then Caesar. There are other earnings reports, but these are the ones I care about tracking, keep an eye on, all of that. All right. As far as the watch of the day today, I really don't have any one, and we'll get into why. And then just as far as today's risk profile, I would say it's more of a moderate risk. I'm expecting a little more choppy kind of pullbacks, easy to get kind of trapped. And the reason for that we'll get into in a bit here. But, the big thing is that we do have, we had a really nice kind of pullback on Friday, and then we have NVIDIA earnings report tomorrow, which has a lot of eyes on it. And I'm sure could be that catalyst for our next kind of move in this chess match. All right, it's been a pretty good few months, and at this point, I'm not one of those that are saying, okay, NVIDIA can drag down the whole market back to whatever. I think what it could do is it could pull us back a bit into some support that could get bought, and then we'll have a new kind of momentum up move. All right, that's just my opinion. It could be shit, I don't know, but it's just how I'm seeing it. All right, so I welcome a pullback. I want a pullback similar to this, because that's when you get these kind of things. So at this moment we're kind of like a little bit of in a range here. Okay, we are not the market is not pulling back too much. The market is hanging in there. There are still opportunities in individual names. But, Friday, Thursday, a little bit of a warning sign. All right. So as far as ES, what I would look at, and I'm going to switch over to this because I think this is more of a graphical kind of approach to things. I'm more of a visual learner and one that knows how to kind of do things in a more visual way. And I understand there are a lot of colors, numbers, and letters and shit. So please excuse me, but just pay attention to a few different things here. One, we do have this enormous 5,000 level right here. It's a psychological level and all that. We are currently kind of trading above it. I'm not showing the extra trading hour numbers here, but if you go to the 10-minute chart on this chart, you can see how overnight yesterday we did put in a low right around 49.94, so that would be around here. And the significance of this is pretty clear here, right? We do have a value area low. Each one of these profiles is a weekly profile, so just pay attention to the colored blocks here. And so this was last week, and as you can see, last week's range was pretty big, 49.35 to 5,070, let's say. And then within that, you have the value area low at 49.9125. You have the POC, so the most time traded in this TPO, and that's aligning with the volume profile POC, and this is more of like where the most volume traded. These doesn't always line up, but sometimes, most times they do. This lined up here, this lined up here, but did not line up over here. You can see here where the most volume was traded was really near this value area high. and then the POC was lower, and then this volume here, you have them lining up. So they don't always line up, but they do most of the times. In any case, we are trading right around this 5,000 right now. You can see it here. This is where we are right now. You don't see it on the chart. But with that said, the 2 weeks ago POC was this 50-12. All right. You have the 9-day moving average around 50, 16, 15. And so these kind of 3-4 points here are important. All right. So I would say if we can recover 50, 12, 15, excuse me, we can rotate back up to previous week, POC around 50-41, and then eventually 50-66. All right, via this 50-47. Okay, so does that logic make sense? In case we break 5,000, you can get a little bit more of a kind of volume, selling volume, due to the importance of that psychological level, into previous week value area low. That is around 49.91. All right. If we break the value area low, we should rotate back lower and test these areas over here. And so I would say 49.68, 75 is important, right? It's a level of which we tested multiple times previously and then bounced up from. It's also value area low from 2 weeks ago. All right, the week of February 5th. And so technically, if we break 5,000, test 49.91, and that doesn't hold, we can test 49.68. Now, this needs to hold. If it does not hold, we'll seek lower prices around 49.46 and lower. All right, so for today, I'm going to watch and see if this 5,000 on ES holds. All right, I want to see if we can recover 50, let's say, 12, 15. I think that lines up pretty nicely with the SPX 5,000. All right, if we recover that, maybe we can move higher. But I'm expecting two-way trading. I'm expecting some two-way trading. As far as QQQ, looking at the daily here, and if you haven't, I mean, now it's a little bit too late to watch the video, but I did post a video for members yesterday, where I went through the market more in depth, going through all the indices and individual names and all that. So you should keep an eye on that. I posted on Saturday, I think. So make sure to make it a habit to come in here on Saturday, Sunday, look for that link and view it. It's for members only. Okay. Now, QQQ is looking a little heavier here. I would like it to hold this 20-day moving average around 428. I would love for it to recover 430. 430 can rotate back up to 435. All right. We are now in a state where you can see we have a lower high. And so, let's see what happens. We might kind of chop around here until, tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. IWM needs to hold 200, needs above 202, 205. We have a new leg higher. It's filled the cap, although it's over, it's not in market hours, but this 200 is important. If it moves above 200, perhaps you can get a little scalping into 201, let's say. All right, but for IWM, due to the nature of IWM and how it's been kind of moving as of late, I would like for it to move above 202. All right. So that's that. Let's just take a look at SMH because, the big kind of event of this week must be the NVIDIA earnings report tomorrow after close. And, SMH is looking fine. It's riding the 9-day moving average. Dips are getting bought so far. And although Friday was a little bit of a down day, let's see if we can recover this 202 and push 204 plus. So let's keep an eye on that. Just by sorting this washes, you can see, there are a lot more names that are red than green. We can start with WMT. WMT had earnings. They confirmed the buy of Vizio for a premium. And I think initially it went down, but pushed higher now. So WMT is let's see if this holds. But when this happens, what you want to do is you want to pivot in your mind to retail, right? So I say WMT, immediately you should think Target, right? Target sitting really nicely on the psychological 150. Does it break 150? Look at that. This is a nice little move. Could see 156 has earnings coming up. WMT did well, did okay. Not the best report in the world because it did kind of miss on certain parts of it, but all in all, we are moving up. So let's see how that kind of cascades through this, you know, uh, these kind of stocks, this sector in particular. Also, names like Cost, right? Cost is holding green here. I would say 730 is important on Cost. Add a few alerts. When you see them, you know what's happening. And so retail is going to be interesting to follow. Aside from that, if I should just go to one name, it would be Tesla. Tesla on the I would say was it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday showed relative strength, although this wasn't the best candle. It was mostly due to the end of the day market selling liquidation breaks that we had. I would say if we can move back above 200, if we can hold 196, break above 198, that should bring us to 200. 200 should see 202, and then you have previous week high around 203 should fill this gap. All right, that's your gameplay. 190, 588 breaks. I think we could test that 195 even number, then 193. If we test 189, that's your key level that needs to hold. Otherwise, this whole fucking move is done. Right? But keep an eye on that. Add a few alerts. If it goes off, you know what's happening. So Tesla, I'm keeping an eye on. Spot is another one that I'm looking at closely. And the reason for that is mostly due to its relative strength on Friday, although didn't have the follow through. It's still an okay kind of look to it. I would say the big trade here is 247, 250. Should see 240, 257. But for these kind of moves, unless you have some sort of catalyst in the moment, they usually kind of have follow through if the market is looking healthy or if a particular sector is looking strong, relatively strong. So with that comes a little caution, but I do like the idea of spot above 248.67, maybe some 250 calls. We just have to see. IBM looked good on Friday. Another one that kind of pulled back a little bit off the highs, but still holding up okay. It's been green pretty much all green market, and yeah, this might have a good move in there. We'll keep an eye on IBM. I think I feel pretty good about the position I have for March. We've taken a few targets. We still have a good amount on it, so let's see if we can get some sort of follow through. One bank that I'm particularly liking here is JPM. It's not only showing relative strength, but it's also in this 111 on the daily. So your downside is pretty clear, and you do have this really nice kind of even number 180 near where that 111 triggers. 111 is basically when you break this second candle in this sequence of 111, and that high is right around 179.98, 180. All right, so that's JPM. JPM is looking fine. If we do get some sort of rotation or whatnot, I think JPM could be one to lead us higher. I guess the fifth name here is Shack, the hamburger place. Shack is a name that gapped up on earnings, has been holding up okay, although it didn't close, green on Friday. It's still showing some relative strength. So let's see if it cannot get that follow through today higher. This might be a little more of a sleeper, so you have to kind of let it do its thing, and then it might flag or consolidate for a push higher later, right? So that's that. Aside from that, the big guys, so like Microsoft, all of those, I think that might be a little tricky. Microsoft for me looks a little more of a curl here, might be curling lower. Apple is showing relative strength in my watch list. I have a pretty extensive watch list today over the weekend. 180 could be a trigger for some puts Apple, even a backtest of the 200. Microsoft, you could trade some puts on Microsoft under 400. I think you could see a little bit of a pullback. Google 140 is another one, play puts. So this watch list has a little bit more of a mix. Let's just go through AMD. I think AMD is looking a little bit better as of late, although Friday wasn't great, but there was a little more of a pullback in the semis. But semis, let's see. Let's see how they do after NVIDIA. It's one of those things where even if it's a good name, it will get dragged down due to NVIDIA or dragged up. Okay, for one, and so you just have to kind of you either trade into it or you wait after things is out of the way and then you take a shot. One of which I know many of you like, and I don't trade very often, but I really like the action on Friday, was LLY, Eli Lilly, showing some strength here. And, I'm liking the idea of this, the highs breaking around 800. So, Eli Lilly looking pretty nice. But this one, my word of, um, I guess, caution or advice, just be extra careful on this one. And this one might be a candidate to buy dips in. Okay. It's been showing strength, and this often does sell off, and then those dips could get bought. Know where you're buying those dips, but if we test this, closing price on Friday, that could be one area to buy dip. If for some reason it moves lower, that might be another one here. The closing price, and then the opening price would be another, and then the low a day. I mean, that would be a very kind of high, for me, a good risk reward if for some reason it does move lower. But it's also like you have to be cautious. But you'll know very quickly if you're wrong on that one. SMCI was the big story over the weekend, right? Everyone was talking about it, and I just noticed that it's now gapping lower. It was trading around 820 just a few minutes ago before I went live, and now it's kind of seeing some continuation here. But I'd be curious to see if this one just gets bought like crazy today. I'll be curious. It was down 20%. So to get a little bit of a rebound, and by little, I mean maybe 5-6% ahead of NVIDIA earnings, maybe. Nothing's changed fundamentally in this one. I think it's just profit takers after an incredible run. I don't blame anyone. But let's see if you have people taking advantage of this. So we'll keep an eye on this one. I'm just gonna add an alert right around, I think 800. Watch 800 up and down here. 800. I mean, know what you're dealing with. Bitcoin is showing strength. It is, oh shit, now it's selling off all of a sudden. Let's see. Bitcoin, I'm liking the consolidation at the highs. I mean, this is a clear bounce area, and you can play the bottom, play the top with puts within the balance until that breaks, and then you just ride the wave. And target will be 57 on this one first, 57, and then 62.5. But BTC, and then you have coin. Coin is interesting to me now because they had a positive earnings rewards reaction. But although it did gap up, this is not a particularly nice candle, but it's one where you want to add a few alerts and kind of monitor, right? And then, there might be a trade here, but at this point, it's like more likely we fill the gap than not, but it's also, one of those where you just have to kind of keep an eye on. So we'll keep an eye on that. I thought HLT looked good, so Hilton, it's looking pretty good here. That's a pretty nice kind of 200. Look at that. You have short fuel here, pushing higher. All right. All right, I'm going to shut this down on YouTube. Thanks everybody for chiming in. I'm going to continue with members only.